rushed to Kerugoya General Hospital, where he is admitted under police watch. 3 other suspects were arrested and taken to Kerugoya Police Station and are expected in court on Wednesday. Residents have raised concerns over cases of robbery in the area after one person was killed 2 weeks ago while trying to rescue an M-Pesa operator who had been attacked in Muthaiga Estate in Kerugoya town. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Right, and on the road to Addis, it is 4 days to the election of the African Union Commission chairperson. And Raila Odinga, of course, is one of the 3 candidates that are running for that seat. And our team is in Addis Ababa. We have Olive Barrows, we have Seth Olale and Stephen Leto. And we begin with Olive and Seth, who are on the ground. What can you tell us in the preparations that you've seen?
Right, Sam, we're coming to you live from the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa. And as you've correctly stated, it's going to be a busy couple of days in and around the building behind us. There's, of course, the election you've referenced, and that is for the AUC chairperson, for which we have Raila Amolo Odinga as Kenya's candidate. We also have a candidate from Djibouti, and that is Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. And we have the Madagascar candidate, Richard Randriamandrato. So we wait to see who between the 3 will be elected the next AUC chairperson by the 38th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government. So that is the 15th and the 16th, Saturday and Sunday. But tomorrow and Thursday, we have the Executive Council, which will elect the 6 commissioners, isn't it, Seth Olale?
Yes.
And the Executive Council is made up of foreign affairs ministers or other ministers who are designated by their respective countries. But that is not the only item on the agenda. Seth Olale has some insider information for us.
Yes, this is an exclusive report from the AUC Commission itself, and this is in regards to the official release of the agenda that will form that particular ordinary summit of the heads of state. What we know that the much-awaited election of the chair and the vice chair of the AU Commission is the 11th agenda on the item. Quite a coincidence that today is the 11th day of February. But even apart from that, what we know is that apart from that particular session that is going to be very defining, we'll also have reports, various reports from the Commission and especially the heads of organs that make up the African Union. And speaking of which, there's also already some activity here. Olive, we know that the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has already touched down at the Bole International Airport, ready for the Interministerial Council tomorrow.
And Raila Odinga's technical team has been busy at work. We bumped into a couple of them at the airport when we were making our way here. But Stephen Leto, perhaps you can tell us what his campaign looks like?
Well, Olive Barrows and Seth Olale there at the African Union Commission headquarters. Where I am is the central business district of the Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia. But it's been a busy, day, but 2 key delegations were very visible in Addis Ababa, and that is the AU headquarters today. That is delegations from Kenya as well as delegations from Djibouti. That has been widely viewed as a race that is being, narrowed down into 2 candidates. And like my colleagues will put it, that could there be a dark horse in the name of the Madagascar candidate? But all the same, Raila Odinga is said to be making his last sprint starting tomorrow. He will be in Bujumbura, in Burundi, meeting with President Evariste Ndayishimiye in one of his final lap across Africa to seek the support of African presidents. From Burundi, he will be flying straight to Somalia to meet President there to seek the support of that nation as he prepares to land at the Bole International International Airport on Thursday ahead of the Saturday vote. Remember, President William Ruto is also expected to lead the Kenyan vote to the AU headquarters from Friday. We've seen already delegations coming in. The Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is also touched down in Ethiopia. We've also been able to have a company. We've been able to fly with one of Raila Odinga key campaign secretariat team leader, that is Ambassador Elkanah Odembo, who is already in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, preparing the ground ahead of that vote. Of course, we are hearing of possibility of having an influx of politicians will be accompanying the Azimio, I beg your pardon, who will be accompanying the AUC candidate Raila Odinga to the headquarters as they go to take the vote on a Saturday. Of course, we have prepared for a wide covered range that will be ranging from the Mandela Hall to all the other avenues that will be having the sidelines. It's all systems go right here at the AU side, and will be, of course, bringing to you each and every update as and when we get it right here from African Union headquarters.
All right, now to our special coverage of the night on the CBC Divide. Tonight, teachers and learners in majority of public primary schools have had to contend with poor state of infrastructure. Despite decades of financing of the free primary public education, there remains limited focus on school infrastructure, greatly affecting the learning conditions for millions in the country. This is especially so at a time that the rollout of the competency-based curriculum gathers speed, with learners in poor schools condemned to the same infrastructure for 9 years, from grade 1 to grade 9. Brenda Wanga paints a picture of the school infrastructure in the country.
This building, battered by age and the weather, provides little cover for the learners at Mapimo Primary School in Magarini Sub-County, Kilifi County. Shafts of sunlight sneak through the classroom, adding to the discomfort of pupils who spend the better part of their days here quenching their thirst for knowledge. This state of affairs is not limited to this school only. There are indeed numerous other schools in similar or worse conditions across the country.
As at now, it is in pathetic condition.
Just about every corner of Koitama Primary School in Bomet County is falling apart. From the walls or what passes for them to the unscreeded or unfinished floors, the classrooms to the administration block, this is the environment in which learners and teachers spend their daytime.
Madarasa ni chafu sana. Na watoto hawezi wakakusoma, hawezi. Class condition ni chafu. Hamuna desk. Then mwalimu hawezi akafunza ikiwa class ni chafu hivyo.
These schools are a snapshot of what bedevils the provision of basic education in the country. The infrastructure challenges in Kenya have persisted for decades, and the impact of the lack of adequate and appropriate classrooms, furniture, and even sanitation is evident in the academic performance of learners.
There is a direct relationship between the availability of infrastructure and the quality of education that children get. And it's very, very important that this is right. There is a close correlation between the availability of infrastructure and the dignity of students. And also another close relationship between the infrastructure and the pride that students get from being in a certain school. And so it's very important that we get it right, that the needs that students have need to be availed in a way that is very uniform.
The Basic Education Act of 2013 assigns the responsibility for infrastructure development on the doorstep of the Ministry of Education, but the ministry hasn't prioritized infrastructure for public schools. Indeed, the transition to grade 9 for the first cohort of the CBC system has forced the ministry to undertake the biggest expansion in primary schools in recent times, with a target of 16,000 new classrooms across the country's public schools ecosystem. The government financed the construction of 11,000 of the target, while the NGCDF was to finance the rest.
I've never received any allocation fund from the government. Now, all our crisis is that the school has got an expansion room. Tuko na shamba ingine ya kununua ambayo tunaweza chenga nini mashule, lakini shida yetu ni pesa tu.
The model that is being used now to fund infrastructure is not fair. It's not fair, and it is unfair to the ones who actually deserve more. The ones who have got capacity are the ones who are taken to spaces that are more resourced. Children of low socioeconomic status do not actually do very well in school. They are taken to schools that are under-resourced. And so it's very important that we get it right. It's not about just a uniform capitation for every school, and that's enough. There has to be also a fund.
According to the guidelines provided by the Ministry of Education, each classroom, science room and workshop in primary schools should have provisions to accommodate 40 pupils. Each toilet should serve a maximum of 50 learners. The sanitary facilities also should be at least 15 meters away from a water point. The reality in many schools, however, is nowhere near this.
Deliberate support to infrastructure that is given to certain schools that are struggling, and the infrastructure should be at the areas that have a direct impact on learning outcomes, like laboratories and laboratory equipments, not just brick and mortar kind of walls, like field and sporting equipment.
A report published by the Office of the Auditor General in 2021 on the infrastructure in public primary schools found that the state of infrastructure was wanting. Out of 55 schools sampled, 84% needed extra classrooms, 75% needed extra toilets, 80% did not have sufficient desks, 78% lacked administration offices, while 42% did not have a reliable source of water. The audit also shows that while the ministry has given directions on the size of classrooms and sanitation blocks, it has not been explicit on the kind of materials to be used and the maintenance standards, a situation that leaves room for any kind of structures to be constructed. Stakeholders have called on the ministry to rectify this for the enhancement of learners' and teachers' experiences while in schools. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And staying with the CBC divide, in 2017, the government began the rollout of the competency-based curriculum, phasing out the 844 system that had defined Kenya's education system for more than 3 decades. The Ministry of Education at the time indicated that the transition was informed by the need to eliminate the cutthroat competition associated with the 844 system and upgrade the country's education to a skill-based practical approach. However, public schools seem to be lagging behind due to a massive resource gap as private schools invest in cutting-edge amenities. Laura Otieno reports on the disparity in the rollout of CBC that seem to deepen the inequalities of access to education.
Beneath the hopeful sounds of learners in the new system, a crisis of inequality is unfolding as public schools grapple with inadequate resources and private schools display well-done amenities. For the last 3 years, the system has faced its deepest test yet. And now, the transition into the junior secondary school is throwing a spanner in the works. In 2022, a recommendation by the Presidential Working Party on Education was adopted, paving way for the release of 18.8 billion shillings to construct classrooms for junior secondary school learners who are hosted in primary schools. A move that had received great opposition.
There is need for a proper direction on the future of JSS, because we cannot have excess teachers in primary, secondary, and inadequate teachers in primary. Excess resources in secondary, inadequate resources in primary.
A JSS institution requires a fully equipped science laboratory and a library. While constituencies have supported the construction of labs in some schools through the NGCDF, equipping the same remains work in progress, while some schools in rural parts of the country completely missing this crucial amenity.
So unless some schools which are neighboring senior secondary schools, and with that they have to also make good rapport for them to use their facilities. Without that good rapport, they may not be able to access the laboratories in those schools.
And while much of the focus has been on JSS, the quality of education at the primary classes has been deteriorating as school heads report a dire state of books in the lower grades.
The lifespan of a textbook, as advised given by the government and even by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, is 3 years. The ratio is not 1-to-1, and the government has never supplied the books in the previous classes.
At private schools, however, a stark contrast unfolds. Amenities for extracurricular activities have also been set up, fanning the CBC flame in private schools. The cost of these amenities are shouldered by the parents. In public schools, the government has allocated about 38 billion shillings for primary and junior secondary schools for the year 2025, an amount schools say can barely cover half of the required costs.
The inflation rate has gone high, and because we are beginning a system which has not been known to the public since independence, this junior school, I think the government should have invested more.
Otherwise, we risk having a whole generation of students losing out if we don't get it right in these transitional moments.
Education is touted as the greatest equalizer, and with that, various stakeholders are now calling on the Ministry of Education to enhance investment in education in order to actualize the dreams of the competency-based curriculum to give a fair chance to students in public schools who are lagging behind their counterparts in private schools. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Stay with us. We have so much more on the CBC divide, including a story that looks at the 3 different pathways that learners have to take. And of course, we'll be speaking to our guest here this evening. That is Dr. Emmanuel Manyasa from Usawa Agenda. We'll be speaking to Moses Nthurima from the KUPPET. And also we'll be speaking to Virginia Moirori, who is a CBC facilitator. And just to indicate here, we reached out to the Ministry of Education, the one and committee for tonight. But first, we take a short break. When we come back,
dream, explore, discover.
Right, and it's time now for Power Talk. We're speaking to Solomon Angutsatia, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya National Police, DT SACCO. Of course, this is a SACCO that has existed since 1972. And Solomon, good evening. It's good to see you.
Good evening, Sam.
Maybe you can help us start by walking us through the journey of 53 years this year and what we would say are the milestones that we've been able to achieve thus far.
I would say the SACCO has had a very long journey. From 1972, you realize that is quite a time. Of course, largely the membership is drawn from the police, over 95%. But 5% are from without the family members. We allow other people from other corporates, and also even business persons can become members. Of course, when the SACCO began, the membership was 600. By 2009, the membership had grown to 23,000 with an asset base of about between 3 to 4 billion. But currently, the SACCO has grown to 74,000 members and with an asset base of 59 billion. So you realize there was a very big leap from the year 2009. And I think that's the time when I joined. So largely, the journey of the SACCO, from my account, is from 2009. However, I want to appreciate the people who began the SACCO, the likes of Arum in 1972. They did a great job. They handed over the organization to us. So for us, we want to carry it through. But I'll say the SACCO has really, in the inception times, the SACCO really struggled. Of course, you remember these are a financial institution which has supposed to serve the members in terms of financial services.
Right.
But again, as a financial institution, they face a lot of challenges. One of them being a lack of funding, proper funding, because of savings were not as much, and also the SACCO was negatively capitalized. But over time, we've been able to cure that through the members themselves. And how that happened is because these are member organizations.
Right.
And largely, it all depends on the members. It's the member to make upon themselves to grow their society. Because as a SACCO, we call it savings and credit. So the members have to choose to save, take that responsibility and obligation. And at the same time, they have to give business to the organization. So that journey really was a bit of difficulties. And again, the issues of technology were a big issue when the SACCO was very manual. And many a times, you know, when you're running a manual organization, you have a lot of hitches in terms of efficiency, in terms of serving members, the turnaround times of providing the services. So that was one of the key challenges the SACCO went through. But currently, as we are talking, I'll say the SACCO is one of the most efficient. The SACCO is one of the biggest brands we have in the market. When you talk about Kenya National Police SACCO, it's one of the biggest brands we have in this market. Currently, in terms of assets, it ranks number 3 after Mwalimu and Stima SACCO. But in terms of other things, in terms of operational efficiency, in terms of service delivery, in terms of credit management, the SACCO ranks number 1. In fact, last year, we were voted the best managed SACCO in this country. And we've been the best managed SACCO for almost like 4 years in a run, among other things. And you realize the SACCO also has really put a lot of focus on how to be able to serve its members.
Right.
Make sure they are well served, they are well given services and timely served, so that in whatever needs they have financial, they're able to be.
Maybe we can elaborate further on that, because with a membership of 74,000, and of course the asset base you reference, 59 billion shillings, that's huge. How do you take care of their concerns, and especially even in improving your governance structure in the organization?
Of course, we've been running through a strategy that was sitting on 3 key pillars: governance and leadership, because we realize governance and leadership is a critical component, because everything falls and rises on leadership. If leadership is good, then you find you are able to deliver a good organization. And again, as a members organization, you realize that when you talk about governance, governance is end-to-end. You're talking about the members, how they are taking up their responsibilities. You're looking at how they are bringing forth their leadership in terms of board, and also the board, how they are bringing in people who will be able to serve the members. And again, around decisions, because you realize the supreme body, like we are going to have on 21st February this year, the supreme body, they are supposed to make critical business decisions. So if that is not well harnessed, is not well done, then you find the SACCO will actually get into trouble. But we've really invested a lot also in education and training to members, just to make them aware that this SACCO is theirs.
Okay.
And how far the SACCO will go is their responsibility, because that is a critical area. Yeah.
Talk to us about your place in the corporate social responsibility that you'd say that you're being associated with thus far.
Of course, when you talk about corporate social responsibility, I'll say one of the core principles of cooperatives is concern for community. You can't actually be a real cooperative, if you have nothing to show up around what you do within the space and you operate. So as Police SACCO, we have several initiatives we've been able to put across that supports largely the police membership community. We have a program that supports children on education scholarship program. And this one we target children who are born by members who are no longer there. Maybe your father or mother is passed on. and he gave birth to a child who is very bright, the SACCO will take over. Of course, we have a minimum and threshold where the child must score, and so far we've been able to educate and take them through about 300 students, and to us that's a very big program, because we've seen us being able to produce engineers, doctors, and all. And to us, it's a very big part of activity that we do. So that, like even Solomon, I have children who are still going through school. I have no reason to doubt that my children will not go to school even if I'm not there. So that's the assurance we give to members, apart from other activities we do. So, and again, we also have the police schools complex. That is at Utumishi. We have the Boys Academy, Utumishi Boys Academy. We also have the Utumishi Girls Academy, where we actually have various initiatives. Like, if I can give an example of the Utumishi Girls Academy, where we did classrooms, and we also did a computer lab, a modern computer lab, because we realized computer or IT has become a core of what we need to have for us to be able to function in life. And then again, the primary school also had a problem, because they did not have even a dining hall where the children could eat, or even when it's raining, the children will be eating outside. So we also came in and also did a project for them. We have also done a stadium. I think if you are passing across the expressway, you will see a stadium called Police SACCO Stadium. That belongs to the police football team. And also it was also an initiative out of a request from the IG's office that how can the SACCO be able to help, because they were renting Kasarani. It was very expensive, so they didn't really have money to invest in the players. So the SACCO came in to be able to do that. So what we are saying is we have an obligation as a cooperative to figure out how best can we make our members and our communities be better.
You've spoken of a big day, 21st of February 2025, that you're launching your strategic plan for 2025-2029, and you've been in existence for 53 years. I don't know, how will this define the journey of the SACCO for the next 50?
Of course, as a SACCO, we are a corporate that has a going concern. Even after us we have left, we need to deliver a good product. And one of the things we have to be careful about is how then do we go through the journey. And one of the tools that you need to put in place is what we call a strategic plan. So that you know how in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, how do you intend to walk the journey. So for us, in the strategic plan we are going to launch on 21st February 2025, it has 3 key pillars. One of the key pillars is member centricity. We are looking at how do we give to the members the best experience. What technologies do we need to put in place so that members can have the best service delivery, can have the efficiency, can actually use the technology that are available now to be able to be served. Because we have realized in 21st century, technology drives a lot of business. People are now going into AI, people are going into the space just to see. And that's largely what we are looking at, to give the member that best experience. And look around in terms of products. What is it that will be able to turn around their lives, change them, and make them feel this SACCO is working for them.
And you're speaking about members. I would imagine that you want to grow, because you're saying that 95% of your membership is from the police service. So what is it that you're doing? The innovations or the technologies that you're deploying to ensure that you're also able to expand to the bigger scope of the population?
Of course, apart from technology, again, in our bylaws, we reviewed our common bond to accept our families, to accept also other people from other sectors. So largely, Police SACCO, Kenya National Police Duty SACCO is not just a police SACCO. Anybody, including you, Sam, if you have no place to put your money, then the SACCO will be able to do. So basically, that's how we are looking at it. And we want to go outside there. We are looking at the youth, the bigger population of youth. Like now, this country, we are saying we have about 60 million people. How many of those 60 million people are members of the SACCO? It's about 10 to 12 million. Then we are asking, where are the 38 million? That is our focus. So that if all these people will come into the SACCO and build the saving culture, because one of the basic ingredient of wealth attainment of wealth is saving. If you can save a shilling and another shilling, that is actually, you are creating a journey towards wealth creation.
Right.
You'll be creating more millionaires or more people that are running away from poverty.
Sure.
So that is going to be one of the major targets. Another target, we are targeting what I'll call growth and sustainability.
Right.
We need to grow in terms of assets. We need to grow in terms of the people. So we need sustainability. How do we grow?
Right.
Financial sustainability, because as a financial institution, we cannot talk of money that we don't have. So we need to build that up. We need to grow savings. We need to educate members to bring in more savings. And one of the things why I'm talking about that is because SACCOs gives people that opportunity.
All right.
It's only a place within the financial sector that gives people the opportunity, disciplined saving culture that will see your money grow and see your money work for you and such kind of things.
Solomon Angotsa, Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya National Police DT SACCO, thank you so much for your time. And that's a Power Talk for this week.
Officials at Cusco involved in the loss and mismanagement of over 13 billion shillings to face prosecution as government hands over audit report to the police.
Diapers come in various sizes and are designed to fit babies at different stages of growth. It's crucial to choose a diaper size that matches your baby's weight and age.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
Africa. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
In business, the government has taken action on the financial irregularities at the Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, Cusco, by handing over a forensic audit report to the police for further investigation and legal action. The forensic audit conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers uncovered massive mismanagement, including 3.7 billion shillings in non-performing loans, overstated profits of 797 million shillings over 6 years, and irregular commission payments totaling 2.7 billion shillings.
There are other cases that we are going to bring before our security officers, especially the investigating agencies, involving other SACCOs that have been going under financial problems because of the suspected mismanagement.
We are going to leave no stone unturned. Anyone involved in the mismanagement of members' money, then we will face the full force of the law. That's exactly what we are going to do. I have the DCI teams with me here this evening, and I'm going to hand over the same immediately with express instructions to start looking at the report immediately.
The Cabinet has approved a 4.2 trillion shilling spending plan for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. According to the budget policy statement approved this afternoon, 3.09 trillion shillings will go to recurrent expenditure, 725 billion shillings to development, and 5 billion shillings to the contingency fund. The budget now moves to Parliament for consideration and approval. The government was forced to withdraw the Finance Bill 2024 last year following nationwide protest against high taxes led by the youth. As Kenya accelerates its digital transformation, cyber threats remain a major challenge, ranging from financial fraud and data breaches to child exploitation and misinformation. This is despite the country's Tier 1 ranking in the Global Cybersecurity Index. According to the Communications Authority, Kenya recorded 3.5 billion cyber threats over the past financial year, with 1.5 billion attacks occurring in the last 6 months alone. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
With the emergence of new technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, cybercriminals are developing more sophisticated attack methods, creating highly realistic deepfakes and automated malwares that bypass traditional security defenses, an issue that is not only a threat to online users, but to the economy in general. With financial fraud, particularly through mobile money services like M-Pesa, remaining a major concern. According to sector experts, fraudsters are exploiting weak security measures by individuals to defraud unsuspecting Kenyans.
Of course, you must have witnessed several hackings, KBC, K24, BRS, and lately the DCI. So it means there's no sleeping on the job. Cybersecurity specialists point out that humans are the weakest link in online crime. Today, we are invited to focus on the human element in cybersecurity, simply how you and I can make the internet safer.
To ensure that our legal framework keeps pace with the digital advancements, we have enacted and amended key legislation, including the Children's Act 2022 and the Computer Misuse Cybercrimes Act to address online abuse, harassment, and exploitation. These laws empower law enforcement agencies to take decisive action against online predators, fraudsters, and cyber bullies.
However, stakeholders have called for more regulatory enforcement that will enhance holding of companies accountable for online harm. Experts argue that Kenya should adopt similar regulations to combat cybercrime effectively, arguing that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility and businesses must take proactive measures to secure their platform, educate customers, and strengthen internal security systems.
Underage children must not be left online unsupervised. You must remember that your child's online safety is just as important as their physical health, both playing a critical role in the general well-being of your child. Be proactive and be present.
Some parents don't have capacity to even use AI or apply the tools of AI, but their children, because of schooling, have. So in fact, the kids in high school who have some knowledge of this AI are the ones teaching their parents. Here, what I'm hearing is that all of us are saying parents should take charge. You can't take charge when you don't have capacity. Instead, you are a student of your own child.
As cyber threats become more complex, sector players have emphasized on the need for collaborative efforts between government, businesses and consumers, with ICTPS noting that Kenya's digital future depends on a secure and resilient cybersecurity framework. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kenya and Saudi Arabia are deepening trade relations by exploring new areas of cooperation. At the Saudi-Kenya Roundtable meeting in Nairobi, officials from both countries discussed ways to boost trade and investment. They reaffirmed their commitment to expanding collaboration in housing, agriculture and health, with a focus on increasing market access and fostering economic growth.
Esteemed business leaders, ladies and gentlemen, another meeting in a series of meetings. We have established dedicated support services to facilitate your entry into our market. This includes what you're going to have later again today, which is a start of first steps of many steps that inshallah we're going to take together, business matchmaking processes.
We have over, as mentioned by the President, over 300,000 Kenyan workers in Saudi Arabia, contributing positively to the development of Saudi Arabia and to the Vision 2030 led by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, which is our vision and strategy.
Saudi has a Vision 2030
and is the largest economy in the GCC. And in Kenya, we also have Vision 2030, and we are the largest economy in the East African and Central Africa. So we see a lot of synergy for hub to hub and gateway to gateway.
The country is stepping up efforts to boost women's participation in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, that is STEM, with calls for stronger mentorship, policy support and investment in digital skills. Speaking in Nairobi, Presidential Advisor on Women's Rights, Harriet Chugai, is calling for greater inclusion, stressing that strategic partnerships between the public and private sectors could accelerate gender equality in STEM fields.
Kenya is making remarkable strides in strengthening its digital infrastructure and promoting STEM in education, particularly women and girls. This is not to say that we are leaving the young men behind. The government digital superhighway project is expanding the country's ICT backbone, laying 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable and establishing 25,000 public Wi-Fi hotspots. We are also aware of the many MOUs the president of this country has signed to enable the young people to accelerate their space, and especially the youth in tech. And here we are today discussing the same issues.
Despite all these advancements, women remain underrepresented due to many things, including gender stereotypes and biases. Studies have told us that whereas 53% of girls engage in STEM-related studies in high school, only about 28% of us will pursue it to PhD. So there is a lack of representation at the top, and it calls upon all of us to step up to the plate and take up these opportunities.
This is me at Stanbic Private Banking. What does it feel like? It's investing skillfully. It's planning wisely. It's living joyfully. It's banking easily. Visit www.stanbic.co.ke. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
The International Olympic Committee held a selection process today in Rift Valley to pick the athletes' refugee team, whose members will be eligible to receive scholarship from the IOC. The selected athletes will train in Iten for the World Athletics Championships. The IOC says this is part of developing refugee sports, and it started with athletics in Kenya. Kakuma in Kenya is the cradle of the Olympic refugees team. The IOC is now looking at adding new sports and adding new regions as part of the growth. The international federations don't allow refugee athletes participation in international competitions, but the IOC wants to change that. Athletes selected in Iten will be part of the refugees team at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
We want to basically break all of the barriers of participation for refugees all around the world. And so part of my work and our work at the ORF is to speak with the international federations who yet don't have changed their statutes to allow refugee athlete participation.
So naonanga tu hii ndio inaweza nisaidia. Nikipata scholarship nitaweka bidii ili niwalipie shule, nifanye kila kitu juu yao. Ndio naona ni rest inaweza nisaidia. Shule pia iko sawa, nisome na nisisahau future yangu.
The Minister of Sports has given Kwale residents a reason to smile with a donation of 8,000 seats and 2 goalposts for the newly refurbished Kwale County Stadium. The acting Sports Kenya Director General Gabriel Komora handed over the seats to the county government, noting that they will go a long way in attracting fans to the stadium and making them comfortable as they watch football matches. Kwale County Governor Fatuma Achani said the county will now incorporate other stakeholders in improving other areas of the stadium. The stadium, with a capacity of 13,000 fans, hosted a national event in 2024 in its first function since it was renovated.
Ambazo in the next 1 week tutakuwa tumeshazi install, na ni kwa ajili ya support ambayo tumeweza kuendelea kupata kutoka kwa all the way from His Excellency, the President, and including the Cabinet Secretary for Sports. Now, we will continue giving a technical support.
Sisi kama Wakwale tunasema Mheshimiwa Rais tunashukuru sana kwa support ambayo ameweza kuendelea kutupatia kama Wakwale, na leo hii tumepokezwa viti 8,000. Tunasema serikali yetu ya Kenya inatujali, na tunashukuru Bwana DG, umetolewa all the way kutoka Nairobi mpaka umefika Kwale ili wizara iweze kutuangalia sisi Wakwale na masuala ya michezo.
Rally driver Evans Kavesi has turned to golf to help him prepare for the WRC Safari Rally next month. Kavesi, who recently got a boost from KCB, of course, says that from KCB sponsorship for the rally, says golf and rally have some similarities in concentration, and golf helps him prepare well for the rally. Kavesi, who recently played in the last leg of the KCB Golf Series in Mombasa, says he was very bad at golf at the beginning, but it has helped him understand himself by reviewing his mistakes and celebrating his success on the golf course. Kavesi was happy to play as he prepares for a return to the WRC Safari Rally. He is well prepared, he says, as he takes us through the secrets of rallying in Kenya.
Motorsport is very emotional, as much as people don't want to talk about it. And the minute you wear that helmet, something switches on. And I don't know, you have like tunnel vision. I can speak for myself. I always find myself trying to go as fast as possible, even in areas that probably I didn't need to go as fast. So my risk analysis became a little bit problematic, I would say. So this has taught me to just calm down,